Today I'm in Sanderstead for my walk and talk. Not far from the Surrey border. Sanderstead is about 3.5 miles from central Croydon, and it's got a lot of history which I'm going to talk to you about. First bit is behind me. This is currently called Doble Court, but it was formerly or originally known as Sanderstead Court. It was really the manor house for Sanderstead. Sanderstead was listed in the Domesday Book. It was about 7 different farms, and obviously the lord of the manor house owned the house. And the Atwood family were very influential. They were the lords of the manor. And since I started researching this video, I've really become fascinated by Sanderstead Court. You can actually see here it says Sanderstead Court and Cedar Court. Private property down there now. Very nice property. But it was once a rather magnificent house. Then it became a hotel. And then it became Sanderstead Court Hotel. It actually existed for about 300 odd years. It was from the 17th century when it was built. And during the Second World War, it caught fire. So in 1944, there was a fire, not bomb damage, even though actually the RAF had a base there, but it burnt out. So it lay dormant till the 1950s, when most of it was pulled down, but some sections remain. And actually some of the apartments in Sanderstead Court are bought and sold. You can actually see them on some of the estate agents' listings. And it's one of these things where it's a great shame that it's gone, because it would have been magnificent. And later on from there, or actually a similar time, the Sanderstead Park Hotel was built. So here we have, through the gateway, to All Saints Church. So this church was originally built in 1230. Tower added about 100 years later. 1330, you see a little crow on top there now. The north aisle and the vestries were added quite late, 1937. The northern extension, 1981. And whilst we've got a fairly large graveyard here, over the road there's also another graveyard just over the hill there, Sanderstead Parish Lower Churchyard. So we're heading over to what's known as the Gruffy. Well, I think it's true to say known locally as the Gruffy, and it's just a piece of land, really. Trees and grass. The Boy Scouts would hold a fair there, not just the Boy Scouts, lots of other people would hold fairs and events. And that's the Gruffy. Let's just go a bit deeper. There we go, the Gruffy. Tread very carefully as I go towards the edge. This is Sanderstead Pond, rainwater fed. A lot of algae on the surface, I'll show you that. In 1976, I was playing in this pond with my brother and a mate, and the local paper came along and took some pictures. Basically it was dried up, because we had the great drought of 76. I did try and get a copy of the picture. For some reason we didn't keep it as a family, but I couldn't, it's gone. I couldn't find it, it's been archived off, sold off. Anyway, yeah, slightly better angle of the pond there. Sanderstead Pond. Haven for certain wildlife. Just 3.5 miles from central Croydon. Got no food for you. So these shops are known as Cranleigh Parade, C-R-A-N-L-E-I-G-H, and there's 24 of them all the way down here in 4 blocks of 6. And they've certainly seen some names come and go over the years. Again, post-Covid, some businesses would have suffered and changing hands. That looks like it's being fitted out. some names I know that have been here for a number of years. Now, Costa was the site of Dick Townley Sports for many years. It closed down, I think, in the 90s. Quite a few things changed in the 90s. So obviously now it's Costa. This was formerly NatWest Bank. In fact, looking at those holes, that's probably the actual lettering for NatWest or National Westminster or something, I'm guessing, but it could well be. Welcome Skills Limited now. Barbers. Popular restaurant there, but I didn't want to disturb them. See me sticking a camera in their faces. I think this was possibly an estate agent's or a baker's. I remember possibly having birthday cakes in the window there. A view of the wreck, but we'll do the other side in a bit. So Cranleigh Gardens, hence Cranleigh Parade. Like many high street shops come and go, and I think post-COVID that will happen more. Some businesses would have been fortunate, deliveries and takeaway services, others perhaps less so. Rectory Court, this used to be the HQ of Charrington's, but it was a big grand building. I like the way they've kept the mock Tudor style going. But yes, that was based there, but of course it was pulled down and made into apartments that look very nice, certainly very well located. Note those fuel prices for posterity. I think the Shell garage has been there for quite some time. And behind we got Waitrose. And this is also another site that's changed hands quite a bit. I think this has been here since the 90s. But it was always some DIY stores prior to that. I think originally it was Marley, then Focus DIY, then Payless or Payless DIY, and then Do It All, I think. Who knows? Someone will know. Put it in the comments, thank you. And then Waitrose came in and it served Sanderstead and immediate area very well. Blue plaque from the Bourne Society. So this was the old forge, built early 1700s in a smithy for 2 centuries. Latterly the Skep, a private school, until the early 1940s. Lovely building. Get out and get on foot, you can see so much. This is the site of the old fire station, which was built in 1933, closed in 1992, demolished in 93, and I think this opened in the late 90s. So the building of it in 1933 sort of links in with the Cranleigh Parade that was built in the 1932 to 38. The shops, the 4 blocks of 6. Obviously a growth area. You hear of pre-war, 1930s semi-detached houses, and they're all over the place. This was a growth area, so I think the fire station, as was fully justified. But things change, and fire coverage is provided by, I assume, Croydon, maybe New Addington. This majestic wine warehouse, I believe this was always a garage. I think it was an Esso at some point, and then it may have become a car repair garage. Been majestic for quite some time. I'm going to cross over here on the crossing. We've got the Methodist church there, and we've got Atwood School up there. Atwood, big name. Atwoods were the lords of the manor that lived at Sanderstead Court. So that's the sort of boundary that I'm going to go to on this walk. Further on there is mainly residential part of Sanderstead as it leads to Hamsey Green. Subject of another video one day, I'm sure. Another view of, I mean, a lot of that building still looks old from where the garage was. I'm assuming customer entrance maybe was the service entrance or something. I wish I'd taken more pictures when I was younger, but of course we didn't have smartphones. Barely had a camera. And you'd think, why? Might even find some old photographs from my dad's slides. Fairly new properties here. Coming up to another small parade of shops. These have changed hands a bit over the years. I remember the auto electrical centre on the end. They fitted a car alarm for me once. Now Sanderstead Osteopaths. So this is Mitchley Hill that goes down towards Riddlesdown, Purley, A22 area. Building on the top there, I believe, well I know, that was an Esso garage. So we had an Esso garage, fire station was there. Esso garage was just down there, and that where that majestic sign is. And here was an Esso garage. You used to just pull in over here, then sort of come out on the other side of the road. And it was sold off. And they made some money by building some residential properties. Sanderstead Recreation Ground, 1895 this was opened. All flying ants, assuming the camera can pick it up. Cricket square there, it's been mainly used for cricket, but other sports have been played here. There was a bowls club over in the middle there, but I think that closed down, funding and stuff. Beautiful evening once again. These properties have been bought up, land acquired, new development coming soon. Sanderstead doesn't have any pubs, as we just get a look at the old Charrington. Maybe there's a link there. So unlike Wallingham, which is not far away, see my other video, it goes back to the 16th century. The lords of the manor, which is the Atwoods, and the rector of the parish were against drinking alcohol. The British Library holds a letter from the rector writing to both the parishes of Sanderstead and Wallingham, calling the latter sinners as they visited the pubs. The Atwoods and the rector put a covenant in place preventing the establishment of public drinking houses in Sanderstead, which still stands. Wallingham's got about 6 pubs, I think, or certainly did have. A very popular bay area there. It's a bit harsh on the old lens. It's very popular, and there's Priscilla's Tea Room. I can't honestly remember what that used to be. It was a hut maybe of some sort, but they've done well to compete. I mean, they've got a brilliant, it's all about location, isn't it? They've got that right next to the area, swing area. Notice boards. A view of the shops. So you can see the block of 6. So if we look at the pharmacy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pharmacy down to Star Barbers, block of 6. That's what makes up Cranleigh Parade. This property here was the village stores, and there's a development now with some properties on the back. It's been tastefully almost reconstructed, I think, possibly. Very similar look to the old one. I think it was a Cullens at one point, and there's some additional properties on the back there. This is Gresham School. Lovely building, goes back to 1875, Gresham Primary School. It was renamed to Gresham in 1965. It was not always called that. Nice building. All Saints Drive, very nice in there. Back to some of the older history again here. So this is the White House, Grade 2 listed building. Parts of it dates to the 15th century at least. Just about see behind there. I'm not going to go poking and praying. But very nice. The old sawmill, the home of Sanderstead Cricket Club. So they say that cricket matches have been played in this area since 1731, but it's certainly been here since the 1800s. First proper game at the sawmill was 1926. I'm just going to pan around, see the Gruffy, and we've got the reeds of the pond there and the church behind. So as you look at the church, Sanderstead Court would have been immediately on the right. So this is Rectory Court. Generally modern, beautiful apartments, but it was the site of the old rectory. I'm just going to walk round to part of Sanderstead Hill so you can see the signs Purley and Epsom to the left. It was only in the 1970s that this roundabout, which you can see is fairly busy, this was a junction. It wasn't a roundabout, and it was mayhem, I think is probably fair to say. So they did a good thing to build the roundabout. It's done a good job ever since. Made it much safer and let the traffic flow sensibly. This is Sanderstead Hill. You have to go about a mile down the hill to get to Sanderstead Station, which was built or opened in 1884, but the bus route didn't come in until 1921. So it had been a heavy old walk in that time. Whilst we can't see it from here, and of course the position is not great of the sun this evening, just down Sanderstead Hill is a junction off to Purley Downs Road, and on the corner of that junction there lived a dentist called George Ellis. And George Ellis married one Ruth Ellis. They were married in 1950. It was a very stormy marriage. Got divorced, I think, certainly separated in 1951. And Ruth Ellis was the last person to be hanged, suffer the death penalty, in England in 1955. As we head back towards All Saints, where my walk and talk started. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my walk and talk in Sanderstead. Fascinating little place, you know, it's just on the outskirts of Croydon in Greater London, but little pockets of history everywhere, from the most fascinating Sanderstead Court, which really took me when I was doing my research, and then we've got the old forge down the other end. There's comings and goings of fire stations and one thing and another. It's just great to get out and understand a bit about our local area and share it with you. So until the next time, thanks for watching. Catch up soon.